Jerry Weisenflue is the Associate Director here at KGS. Among other responsibilities, he oversees KGS research programs and serves as head of our communications and outreach section. As a liaison with state agencies and other state surveys, he has the task of organizing the survey's annual meeting each year. He recently talked about the history of the meetings, their setup, and this year's topic. Jerry, let's talk about the annual seminar history. In other words, why did we begin having the annual seminar, and how has its format or its audience changed since it began some time back?
Well, the seminar has actually been going on for a long time, beginning around 1960. The original seminars were actually for the geologic mappers who are participating in the KGS USGS mapping project. And they would get together annually to discuss technical issues about the mapping across the state. So it was an internal meeting to discuss science issues. And over the years, when the program for mapping was completed in 1978, they began holding those seminars for KGS geologists to present information about the projects they were working on. But it was an internal seminar. We didn't have outside guests. So over the last 15 years or so, we've increasingly expanded the seminar to include outside people and also outside speakers. So we've changed the focus from just our research to topics of relevance to all the geologic community in Kentucky. So it's really changed a lot since its beginning 54 years ago. Started doing workshops about the time that we were developing our web services for disseminating KGS data. And there was a lot of interest in those services, but they were technical and people needed instruction on how to use them. So we began doing workshops almost every year to tell people about the new features that we had on the website. And since then, we've expanded it to other topics that relate to research we're doing here. As you mentioned, we've had core demonstrations so people could see some of the materials that we would study for energy-related projects. We've also had demonstrations of some of the scientific equipment that we use here for research projects. And so the workshops have a lot of interest that always keeps people at the meeting, and they're always well attended. We tend to focus on those things that we conduct research on, which are all pertinent to things going on in Kentucky and the geologic community. But we always cover issues related to energy, both oil and gas and coal. We talk about hydrology, geologic hazards, geologic mapping, earthquakes, all the spectrum of things that we're involved in research here at KGS. We used to give presentations about those all day long. We're now allowing people to prepare posters, and we get broader participation because of that. So, and our audience really enjoys coming to this meeting to engage with other geologists, and so that poster area is where people go back and chat with their colleagues and get to see what we've been doing during the year. So that makes the seminar a really sort of diverse experience for our attendees. Particularly in recent years, we've had the representatives of the geologic societies come to the meeting, and they do their awards presentations. They make announcements about their field trips that they conduct at various times in the year. So it's a great venue for professional geologists to get together and discuss things of interest for their societies. There's a relatively new technology called LiDAR, which is a method that's being used to collect high-resolution elevation data. And the product of that technology is elevation data, which is not necessarily new, but the accuracy of this data is such that it's really a transformative technology for our profession, as well as others. And so because of the increasing use of it, I thought this would be a great year to bring people together to talk about all the different ways it's being used in the geological sciences. So we've arranged a number of talks that revolve around the use of LiDAR in our profession. And we're going to have speakers that are going to talk about detecting landforms using LiDAR. There's going to be speakers talking about use in hydrology modeling, flood inundation, things of that sort. We've also invited some outside speakers from the archaeology profession to talk about the identification of archaeological sites on geologic landforms. And so it's going to be really a diverse group of speakers, both outside speakers and KGS speakers, to talk about this new technology. We're also going to have some discussions in the afternoon about monitoring of various kinds. So we have a seismic monitoring network in Kentucky, and we're going to talk about its use and its expansion over the next few years. We're also, we have a new initiative to develop a water level monitoring system, and we're going to have some presentations about the nature of that. So those are the two main topics of the seminar this year. We have one person in particular who's been using LiDAR to identify landslides, his old landslides, just looking at the geomorphology of the slopes. And he's been using that to inventory the occurrence of those features. We have another geologist who has been using LiDAR to detect sinkholes that were not visible on the original topographic maps. And so that's an ongoing research project that's being developed now.